Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account from Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit, has a couple of updates attached as well, and it's titled Am I the Arsehole Here for breaking my #1 sex rule with a handicapped guy. I'm a 28 female. My childhood best friend, we're called Jess, is also 28 female. To put it simply, I don't think I'm any kind of prude. I just don't feel comfortable with casual sex. Never have. My best friend knows this and has teased me about it lightly in the past. She's been in a long-term relationship for the last 3 years. I've mostly been single while working on my degree and starting my career. Jess lives in another state with her boyfriend, so we don't hang out much anymore. So, about a month ago, I had a first date with a guy I've been talking to for a bit. Thought it was going places, but he gave me a weird vibe on the date and I cut and ran early. On my way home, I stopped at a local pub. Figured I'd have a drink to unwind and people watch till it wore off. Tipsy driving is still drunk driving in my opinion. I get there and it's pretty packed, Friday night and all, and there was no seating room at the bar. Took my drink and looked around. Most of the restaurant side of the pub was someone's birthday party, but there was a small table with a seat open off to the side, with a guy reading a book there. So I say F it, I'm a social person and what's the worst thing that happens? He says no, so I ask if I can sit there for a bit. I promise we don't have to talk or anything. At this point, I feel like I've fucked up, because this guy up close is the hottest man I've ever seen, but he just smiled at me and gave an enthusiastic sure. A few minutes later of me sipping in silence and he says, I don't mind talking if you want to. Yeah, I want to. Are you kidding me right now? We talk for a bit and it turns out Mike, fake name, is 29, just finished his master's degree in some kind of computer learning field. I program computers to program computers, and he's living on his own for the first time. He apparently stops by the pub after work because he's right around the corner, and he's not used to the silence yet after living so long with a half a dozen siblings. We talked for a good 2 hours about everything from dating, which he said he's basically given up on, to hobbies and tastes, and we have a near total eclipse of Venn diagram on this stuff. I eventually sort of blurted out that I don't know why he'd give up on dating. This is the closest thing I've had to a good date in forever. Shooting my shot obliquely here, lol. He gets kind of an odd look on his face and says, tell you what, I have to go to the bathroom, but when I come back, I'll ask you out for real. Weird, but okay. Then it all clicks because he doesn't get up to walk away. He just rolls in his wheelchair. And I'm thinking, oh my god, he wanted to give me a chance to back out of this without making it awkward. How cute can this guy be? He grinned like crazy when he got back and saw I was still there. And I basically tripped over myself saying something to the effect of, so I'm free all weekend. What did you have in mind? Another hour later, we got plans for Saturday. And he told me he has a neuromuscular disorder I can't remember the name of. My degree isn't in STEM, lol. So his legs work, but the signals from his brain get misinterpreted, so he doesn't have the balance or coordination for walking or standing. The pub starts switching over to the younger, rowdier crowd, and he asks if I'd like to go back to his place for coffee to continue our conversation. As you have probably long since realized, I did not get any coffee or conversation till the next morning, and I have zero regrets. We've been dating since, and I know it's still early, but I really feel like this might be the one. Onward to yesterday afternoon. My friend Jess, remember Jess, is in town and we go out for a coffee to catch up on things. I'm gushing about Mike, but when I get to how we met, she just sort of got weird and edgy. I don't remember any exact words, but she essentially said that I must have a fetish for the handicap since I broke my #1 rule, and it's the best physical relationship I've ever been in. Like it's good for me because he uses a wheelchair, not because the guy puts in effort in bed. She said I've changed as a person and left without even saying goodbye. 15 years of friendship and I'd never seen her like that. So here I am, asking the most objective people online if I'm an arsehole or weird for being super attracted to a guy who uses a wheelchair and basically putting out immediately. Now I'm getting instant projection vibes from this. There's something going on in her relationship that's not going right and, you know, it's getting projected onto you here. It's as simple as that for me. It has to be. But Refrigerator Hot says, firstly, you're allowed to change the rules that you made for yourself. Secondly, I do not get from anything you wrote that you have a fetish for the handicap. The comments are weird. Sounds like you need to keep Mike and drop Jess. Good friends will be happy for you, and from what I can gather, that ain't her. Another commenter says she's got a weird fetish for super hot guys who are kind and well spoken and fuck like a hero. What a weirdo. Sarcasm, in case it's not obvious. Opie says, okay, yeah, this made me laugh for real. Seriously, what a weird fetish I have. Someone replies to that saying, hey, that's my fetish too. Here I was thinking I was the only one. And another comment who says, oh, fuck that friend. I read this whole thing. You have zero fetish. The guy is hot. The guy is intelligent. The guy lives on his own. The guy has his shit together. The man gave you the door to leave. Love comes in all shapes and sizes. Opie says that shit floored me. He's so considerate in so many ways. His stories about his sibs are also hilarious. I can't wait to meet them. We're trying not to rush things just because it all seems so great, but they have a barbecue in May that he'd like me to come to, and I am so there. He was raised around a lot of love, and it shows. But Opie comes in with her update and says, my first ever update, yay. So if you're wondering for some terrible drama, I hate to break it to you that I don't roll like that. No pun intended. So I do have an update on Jess, and shit finally makes perfect sense. And I have a slightly NSFW but funny story about Mike, because this guy's just the best, y'all. Okay, so first I finally messaged Jess yesterday and said basically, I'm still hurt by what you said, but after 15 years of friendship, I'd never forgive myself if I didn't at least ask you why you snapped at me like that. She replied immediately, I'm so fucking sorry. I didn't mean any of that. Can we have a do-over on lunch? So I agreed cautiously and took a half day to meet with her today. Turns out those of you said she was jealous and that she might have something else going on, and especially the person who said something might be going on in her relationship, gold stars. She's in town because she's job hunting, because she's moving back in with her parents for a while since her relationship ended. Apparently they've been having a ton of small problems adding up, but the biggest one, sex. The guy she's been with was apparently never great, but has gotten to the point where he makes no effort at all for her to enjoy herself and then gets pissed when she isn't in the mood. She tried talking with him about it, making suggestions, but he told her recently that it's emasculating being given sex advice by a woman. The straw that broke the metaphorical camel's back, however, was that her boyfriend has always had a thing for Asian women. She's Caucasian, but she does have long black hair. After weeks of fighting over their sex life, he suggested that they spice things up by her dressing in a kimono and pretending to be Asian. She lost it on him and is absolutely disgusted by the racist fetishism and ended it right then. So she had all this bottled up and was hoping to talk to me and finally be able to put it down. And I missed every hint that she had something big to discuss because I was gushing about Mike. So to her it felt like I was twisting the knife by bragging about how great our sex was. She snapped, and somewhere between what I was saying and what she wanted to talk about, and got some wires crossed, and she said something incredibly dumb. She left without saying goodbye because she was mortified and ashamed, as well as irrationally mad at me. Something to know about Jess. She's an awful liar, and she and I were the co-founders of our high school's foot-in-mouth society, so I do believe her. I told her I forgive her, and I'm sorry I didn't realize she wanted to talk about something bothering her. And she said I was too stupidly nice and have nothing to apologize for, so I think we'll be okay. For the time being, I'm not ready for her and Mike to meet, because I don't want to make things feel worse, and she agrees. But she's really happy for me. Hopefully this is just a funny story we can look back on someday. Then OP talks about NSFW bit, which I will timestamp below if you want to skip this part, totally up to you. So on to how Mike almost killed me, lol. Last night we were talking about the Reddit post and he gets this funny expression that I'm starting to recognize, and he goes, how do we know you don't have a fetish if we haven't at least tried it in the chair? And I'm like, are you serious, lol? He said he's never attempted it because QT is he's never felt so comfortable with a partner before. Well, his chair has what is essentially like a parking brake thing, or it should. It's unfortunately broken, and apparently getting them fixed is an expensive pain in the ass. He doesn't use it that often, so he hasn't made it a priority. And there's this thing called Newton's third law. You know how every action has an equal and opposite reaction. As it happens, when you're trying to do the get the motion of the ocean going in a chair with wheels that aren't locked, there's sort of a counter motion that starts and it fucks it all up. So we were going nowhere fast, for except inching along the floor in his bedroom and laughing at the silliness, which isn't helping. Eventually he just stops and says, maybe we can get one of those wooden block things that they keep little planes from rolling away, like in Indiana Jones, you know. I absolutely lost it, like laughing so hard I'm in tears. He's giggling at half the situation and half at my reaction, and everything just keeps setting me off again. Finally I get it under control, doing some deep breathing exercises and shit, and I look at him again. And he pulls the straightest face he can and says, for the love of God. For the love of God. Golly, this sure is uncomfortable. Folks, if I had asthma, I would have fucking died right there. I laughed so hard I think I pulled a rib. Like wheezing and not even laughing anymore, so much as weeping and making this awful noise. But I could catch my breath. While he's laughing and rubbing my back and saying he's sorry, he couldn't resist. So yeah, confirmed, no fetish here, and the magnificent bastard's comedic timing might actually kill me. I doubt I'll update again because there's really nothing I can see needing to share given everything sort of worked out. And in the end, the real assholes were the friends we made along the way. I don't know. Thanks for all the lovely comments on my last post and for coming along with me on this absurd but brief drama of my life. Lol. But a month later, OP did update again and said hello again. I was going to post this on my own page, but a few people mentioned that they think it's nice to read on Am I the Arsehole here, so fuck it. Here's the Met Mike's family update. And it's a doozy. Oh, I love a doozy. Or at least felt like it at the time for a girl who grew up with a small, dysfunctional family. So first up, you know what people, at least me, don't think about when dating guys who's always sitting? Height. I know he's taller than me because we cuddle a lot. He's taller sitting on the couch. But I didn't really get it. So we drove up Friday night after work. Actually south and west, lol, but to my brain it's always up, in his vehicle, which is modified to be driven entirely using his hands. Neat, right? He's a really good driver too. One more green flag. We get to the house and it's huge, you guys. Well, not like a mansion, just like a sprawling one-floor rancher. Real estate was wild back in the day. Anyway, we get out and I meet his mum. I'd like to point out that I'm no slouch. I'm 5'7". His mum is towering over me, but she was the nicest lady ever. We go inside and I meet his dad, who funny enough is apparently the only short one in his family, and his youngest sister, who is living there with his 1-year-old niece. She gets up to hug me and she is also really tall. It's already a bit late then, so we eat and head to bed. I get to see his cute as shit room from when he was a teenager. I casually ask, hey, so I don't know how this works and stuff, but how tall are you? Mike is all, I don't know, like a bit over 6'4". Been a while since I checked. A bit over 6'4". So is everyone in your family tall? Kinda. We met the Nordic basketball team he calls a family properly the next day. Actually they're Irish, but they're blonde and tall, so it conveys the idea better. The only one of reasonable height and still taller than me was his older sister. They are also loud, like not really shouting or anything usually, just present. Mike is a lot different around them, but in the cutest way. Like he just beams all the time and you can see how happy he is to be home. One of his brothers put him in a headlock and gave him a damn noogie as a greeting and got elbowed in the side for it. All of them laughing, and his mum smacked one of his brothers with a rolled up magazine for putting his feet on the table. More laughing. Just intimidating, but in the happiest way imaginable. I'll admit I was a little shut down for a bit, but Mike kept checking in with me to make sure I was okay, and they were all really nice. So I got into the spirit after a bit. I mentioned this in another comment, but Mike has a special sports wheelchair he uses for, well, sports, and he and his siblings play basketball, and he is good. Apart from just having a hell of an arm, he's quick as hell, and this magnificent bastard that I love will absolutely, purposely, gleefully run someone's toes over. He aims for it. He'll have this yank back the foot maneuver that's hysterical to watch. So it's just this crazy day of loud people playing and having a blast. Nieces and nephews running around and just noise. My ears are still ringing. The food was catered in advance because his mum had 7 babies. All I make on Mother's Day is margaritas. They also have a pool. It's a bit chilly still, the pool is heated, so we actually got to swim. Which was a lot of fun because I got to show off that I too am athletic. I can do backwards somersaults off a diving board. Yeah, I'm a real catch, lol. They at least pretended to be impressed. We all stayed up late night drinking and bitching that it was too overcast to see the aurora. Ooh, and I had the worst hangover I've had in a while on Sunday. We slept in a bit late and then I joined Mike's family for a barbecue, part of the barbecue weekend. His dad can grill people and he's fast, food coming off the grill at lightning speed. I asked Mike about it and he laughed and said, there was 7 of us to feed. Ever see a nest of baby birds? He had practice, which, fair enough. I didn't have much experience with babies, but I got to hold his youngest niece, the one living at home with his sis until her husband gets back from deployment, and we had a light talk about kids in the future. I told him that I never put much thought into it, but if they're going to grow up in a happy home like his, and not how I grew up, I'm pretty sure I'd be open to having them with him someday. But later. I need him all to myself for a while first. He seemed really happy about that, which makes me feel all goofy and happy. I'm sappy. We had to drive home Sunday night, but before we went, his mum hugged me and said she's never seen her son like this, and thanked me for taking good care of her baby, and asked if we'd be back for the 4th of July, or if we're just doing something with my family. And I tried to be like, no, we'll be here if you don't mind. I don't see them much. And I think she caught that there's more to the story. So she just hugged the shit out of me, Vikings, all of them I swear, and told me she can't wait to see me again. My ears are still ringing from all the noise and chaos, but it was an absolute blast and I can't wait to see them again in July. Also pretty sure Mike is the man I'm going to marry. I literally can't think of a single reason why I'd ever let him get away. Anyway, thanks for reading. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. And those of you who got to see the aurora, I'm happy for you. But you suck. Lol. Oh, and that's a really sweet story, and I'm glad that they're getting in with a family and, you're experiencing something that you're not used to at the same time. I think that's lovely. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, this next story is from the relationships subreddit from DemLegsDo, who says, my parents, 62 male, 59 female, want to visit after ostracizing me, 32 female, for the past 6 months. I want to preface this by apologizing for the jumbled wall of text. I don't have anyone to talk about this. I was recently diagnosed with autism earlier this year at 32 years old. Prior to my diagnosis, I'd always felt there was something off about me, but as a high-masking woman, I always assumed it was just a personality deficit. Some of my symptoms include noise sensitivity. Over the last few years, my ability to mask had decreased, and it became harder and harder to function appropriately in my immigrant household. Due to some administrative issues with my medical school, I had to move home for a year before returning for clinical rotations. During this time, I was increasingly stressed and focused on completing my research assignments and working my part-time job. In order to cope, I used to wear my AirPods around the house, to which my parents would call me blatantly rude. I would sequester myself to my room and try to avoid upsetting them in one way or another. But this became an issue as well, stating I was in my own world and that I'm not actively participating with my family. My mother even asked, "What do you even contribute to this family?" When they would yell at me and call me stupid, I would shut down. When they asked me to explain my behavior, I would get nervous and have issues verbally communicating. I would take too long to speak and they would just yell at me or make fun of me of the 30-second pauses I would take before responding. During one conversation, my father would call me a dangerous person because I was getting confused with the issue at hand and brought up an issue I thought was relevant. During one of my shutdowns, I failed my board exam the same day my dog got attacked and was in the hospital. I had a really hard time functioning. My mum kept asking me about my exam and why I couldn't get it together, as well as upcoming test dates, and I told her I didn't want to talk about it, so my family collectively decided to ignore me for 3 days. My dad said if it were up to him, they would have ignored me for a whole week. At the beginning of the summer, my mum had gotten a knee replacement. During this time, I was studying for my STEP exam, med school exam, so I was always wearing my AirPods listening to study material. In between question blocks, I would come to see if my mum needed anything. My parents wouldn't coordinate with me when I needed to take her to PT. I was just told that I should have known and been okay with dropping everything to take her wherever and whenever she needed to go somewhere. Mind you, my exam was within a week. When I told my mum I needed to study and didn't have time to go grocery shopping, stay out for a long lunch, and stay for the full PT, I was told I didn't respect her or care for her. She and my dad told me I was a poor excuse for a daughter. My parents said I was a bad sister because even though I drove 3 one-way hours after work at 4 AM to a graduation, prepped and decorated for a grad party, I should have had a speech prepared. I couldn't do it. I was surrounded by a bunch of people and I was grossly overstimulated. I wanted to be supportive and I thought by planning and organizing her party, that would have been enough. But it wasn't. At the end of the summer, my family collectively decided that I was a shitty person who deserved to be alone. Luckily, by that time, I had moved out of state to start my clinical rotations. I was away for home for 3 months. During that time, I had spoken to them a few times, but I got overwhelmed with school and keeping up with the responsibilities of living back on my own. No one called me, I had to call them. During winter break, I came back to my hometown, but stayed with my boyfriend so I could study for my shelf exam. The day after my exam, my boyfriend proposed, and I called and texted my family to tell them the news. They're excited in the extended family group chat, but didn't answer any of my calls. Christmas Eve, I texted to see when they would be home so we could hang out. They said sorry, they're busy. Christmas, busy. Then day after Christmas, I texted my mum to see when I could bring their presents over, and she agreed to meet me. She said the entire extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, were all celebrating the holidays at our new vacation house in Mexico, 20-minute drive away. She said that if I had been a better communicator, maybe I would have been invited, but I wasn't. I wasn't invited to my family's holiday celebration because I didn't specifically ask what the family was doing for Christmas to New Year's. I didn't celebrate my engagement with anyone in my family. I cried the whole week. I've always felt different. I never knew what to say or do. I never knew how to behave or withstand my sensitivities. I have a hard time communicating verbally or even defending myself. After all this, I sought out a diagnosis, and to no surprise of my own, I do in fact have autism. But now that I have this realization, what do I do? How can I fix myself? I haven't spoken to anyone in my family except my mum twice since then. How can I explain to them that I didn't do any of that to be mean to them? I don't want to use autism as an excuse, but as context to my actions. How with this context do I get them to love/like me again? I don't even want to plan a wedding because I feel like an orphan. It has been 6 months since they have spoken to me. But yesterday, I received a text message letting me know that they would be in my city due to a long layover, and that they, assuming just my mum, wanted to come by and see me. I'm not sure if I can handle seeing them. I don't particularly want them in my home. I don't want to have them in my safe space. If I say no, is that giving themselves ammo? I don't know what they want or why they decided to contact me. I don't even know what to say if I do agree to see them. I'm so angry, so confused, and so hurt. I have so many important things coming up, and I don't want to be a shell of myself because I had to deal with family stuff. Should I see them? I am so angry for OP at this situation. OP, this is not your fault. This isn't your autism. This is just your family being horrible shitheads. These are people that are meant to love you, that's meant to support you, that want to see you happy. Let's look at some of the words that they said to you here. What do you even contribute to this family? Then they would yell at you and call you stupid. Then when you take a moment to think, they make fun of you. Call you a dangerous person. Your dad said he would have chose to ignore you for a whole week rather than just 3 days. You're a bad sister. They chose not to get in contact with you so you couldn't attend their holiday celebrations. I'm sorry, OP. I know it's very easy for me to say, sat behind a microphone, these are your family, you've grown up with them, but fuck these people. They are absolutely awful, abusive people. You're already anxious. I can see by the end of this post, you're already anxious about seeing these people. And you need to question yourself, what do they actually contribute to your life? They seem to bring nothing but pain and suffering, and you don't deserve that. You deserve love and happiness and support, and that's it. I'm sorry you were going through that, mate. But Silver Storm says, I'm going to be honest with you, OP. Your autism is not the problem here at all. Your family is cruel, Like you asked them when they were free for Christmas and they told you they were busy. In a healthy family dynamic, they would have said, "Oh, we have this event on this day. You're welcome to come for that." But the way they treat you and speak to you is not okay. Plan your wedding and have a small wedding and don't invite them. You deserve to feel special on your day, and having them there will make you feel bad. They're a type who are never going to be happy no matter what you do. As for your mother coming into your house, perfect thing to say is, "No, I'm busy." You don't owe her anything, especially after everything they put you through and how they treated you. And they've been in no contact with you for 6 months. They don't get to dictate to you when they are ready. You are the one who has been slighted. Opie responded saying thank you. I keep trying to excuse their behavior and I catch myself taking the blame. It's nice to get the validation that it's not all my fault. None of it is. Ashburn Mum says if you do decide to meet up with them, do it at a restaurant or coffee shop, anywhere other than your home. That's your space and you're not under any obligation to let them and their negative crap in there. Opie says that's my plan. I spent too much time feeling unsafe at home, so I don't want to mess up the positivity I've established at home. Porgy says, and replies to that saying that was going to be my suggestion, accept the offer to me. Do it outside of your home in a neutral place, and perhaps share with them the information that you have learned about yourself. Not as an excuse, but as you say contacts. Explain to them that this means you struggle with certain things, and that you need acceptance and support and not judgment. The first time anything other than acceptance and support is offered, tell her that is exactly what you do not need. If she cannot accept you and support you, then you are going to leave and you won't be talking. Ethel May says, wow, your family is really abusive. I agree that this isn't about your autism. Sure, they may be old-fashioned and not understand autism and be getting upset at things they don't understand, like your AirPods, but they are your family. They should be trying to understand them to the best of their abilities instead of just being mean to you about it. And it sounds like you tried to schedule things to help out your mum with PT, and they set you up to fail just so they could say you were a bad daughter. Like what? It'd be one thing if you're always having to explain and smooth things over because they didn't understand autism. They don't want to understand or want things to be smooth. They seem to like putting you down. That's not them being immigrants or old-fashioned. That's them being mean. And there was a lot of comments saying, don't meet them. Other people saying, meet them, but do it in a safe space. I kind of feel like I'm in the don't meet them. I mean, the comments that I saw from OP that they said to her in this time is just ringing through my head. Who talks to their family like that? But OP came in with her update and says, I first want to say thank you to everyone who commented and DM'd me with advice and support. I definitely carried your support with me into the meeting. I also want to say sorry for the late update. I was so emotionally burned out that I didn't even start to process what happened until yesterday. Anyway, here's what happened. My parents arrived early in the morning to my area. I took all your advice and decided to meet them in a neutral space, a tea shop. As I suspected, my father did not come. My mother's excuse was that he had to stay and watch the luggage. Apparently, it wouldn't have fit in an Uber. When my mother arrived, she seemed excited to see me and was trying to update me on their vacation. She asked why we didn't meet at my house and I stated that I was too busy at the hospital to stay at home waiting. For about 15 minutes, she kept trying to get me to tell her updates about my life and current school deadlines. Just more small talk that kept going around in circles. She remarked on my engagement ring and said she has only ever seen it in photographs. I reminded her that she did in fact see it when I came to visit in December, 2 days after proposing, but she wasn't interested in it then. She tried to take my car and fill up my gas tank, and ordered food so I would have groceries. I declined both since one of her favourite insults is that I only care about money, and that I wouldn't have gotten this far in my schooling without her. I kept getting more and more frustrated with the topics and finally just asked why she came. She acted surprised and said that why wouldn't she come see me if she was in town? I lost it. I said after the way things were left in December, my engagement and being left out of Christmas and New Year's. I was shocked that she would come see me and act like nothing happened. My mother was gobsmacked, like surprised Pikachu face. She said she was shocked that I left the conversation in December feeling badly and didn't think that the meeting went poorly. As a good medical student does, I elicited her perspective to see how she perceived Christmas to have gone. She said she wished I was there, but it was just a missed opportunity. I let her know that because of that conversation, I decided I wasn't interested in being part of a dysfunctional and abusive family. I brought up all of the scenarios I mentioned in the original post and said that nothing I did warranted that level of abuse. I told her that I already know how this conversation will pan out, her crying and expecting me to comfort her and apologize for making her upset, as well as telling my dad I was disrespectful and for him to bang on my door at night just to yell at me and call me names. I told her that if she's going to continue to act surprised, then she can just call her Uber and leave. I told her that all of the verbal abuse and name calling I no longer wanted to participate in. I gave her all the examples of how she co-signed the abuse and she had nothing to say. She then tried to make all of the negative statements she said and correct, saying I'm not stupid and that I'm family orientated, but she only applied it to my cousins, not my parents or sister. I asked her if she had taken the time to understand my diagnosis, to which she said, well, I looked a little into neurodivergence, but not autism specifically. A little background here. My mother is also a counselor and therapist. Fucking hell. So she didn't take the time to better understand me or my struggles. I brought up how she said I was a bad daughter and that I have missed so many opportunities to be a good daughter. I said, and just like I missed opportunities, so did you. I let her know that when I was struggling with my mental health and was dealing with suicidal ideation, a few years passed that I had in fact attempted to auto-delete. Although she knew, my whole family knew that I was suicidal, she never checked in on me and my mental health, instead asking me why I never inquired about her new job and her recent move. Her response actually fucked with my brain, my heart, my soul, my sense of importance to anyone. She said, oh yeah, I need to pass on that year. There were a lot of things going on. I paused and said, I'm going to go back to what you just said. I tried to kill myself and you said you need to pass on 2018 because you had a lot going on. She doubled down and said, oops, am I talking too much? I realized in that moment I wasn't going to reach her, ever. I told her I tried to kill myself and I needed her, and she said she needed a pass for not being there. She was so delusional and ignorant to the entire fallout. I don't think she could even process. There was a serious cognitive dissonance that didn't allow her to be honest about the situation. She then apologized for causing so much harm and suffering, and she said she was seeing a therapist and was going to do the work. I told her I'm opting out of contact until she actually does the work. I told her it wasn't my responsibility to teach her about my disability, nor where she went wrong in our relationship. She asked if I would call more, and I said she needs to do the work. I sent her on her way and then cried in the car the whole way home. Still haven't heard from her since. My feelings are all the way hurt. I feel just as bad as I did in December. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was let down. I think I need to let the hope die. I'm going to go forward on wedding planning without the hope of having my family present. Sorry for the jumbled mess. I'm a bit shaken up. Mate, of course you're going to feel hurt about this. Of course, you had some hope that maybe somewhere that she changed. You tried, but what I can say is I'm extremely proud of you for your conversation there, that you called your mother out for what she's done. That you're telling her, yes, you absolutely need to do the work. You, the family, has caused this. You deserve so much better than this. And like I said before, I know it's very easy for me to say I'm sat here behind a microphone, not having to deal with this directly. But I honestly think what you just did was absolutely amazing. It's not easy, but you did it. They deserve to be called out for it. Focus on your wedding planning. Don't focus on them. Don't give them your time no more. You told her where she stands, and that's the end of it. I really hope that your wedding is absolutely fantastic and what you dream of, and continue to protect yourself. But I just wanted to read one of the top comments from that post from Bimark, who says, "Oh sweetheart, you deserve so much better. You deserve to be loved, understood and wanted. You deserve to belong. You don't deserve a bunch of narcissistic people that call themselves your family but are anything but. That's not family. That's just a group of people that you share DNA with. Sometimes you need to cut out the parts of your life that bring you nothing but pain and hurt. I suggest going no contact, or if you can't or don't want to do that, extremely low contact, and grey rocket. Don't offer information about your personal life. Don't engage with them beyond what's absolutely necessary. I hope your extended family treats you better. I hope your fiance and his family treat you like their own and give you that place that makes you feel like you are home, that makes you happy. Hope your wedding is awesome. May your relationship flourish with just enough lows to appreciate the averages and be amazed at the highs. Now, what do you guys make of this story? The amount of people relating to this story as well in the comments is pretty amazing, and the love and empathy shown towards OP as well is just fantastic, and I hope OP does read that and takes it on board. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much for being involved. Truly, you're absolutely amazing, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.